This is Case International Show. I'm Takesha Kumbo, and we're at Motown Records talking with international famed reggae artist, Mr. Lucky Dube. How you doing?
Okay, and you?
I'm doing just
Yeah,
great.
man.
All right. So, Lucky, when did you decide to change from Zulu Mbwanga, is that how you pronounce it?
Mbaqanga.
Mbwanga,
Yeah.
to reggae?
Well, I think it happened about 1984. That was the first time I released a reggae album. But from 1979 up to 1984, I was doing Mbaqanga. The change came in 1984.
So exactly what is that? I mean, it's like Hugh Masekela's music was years ago, and the people who did Serafina and stuff like that?
Well, yes, the Serafina type style, yes. And Mashatini and them.
Yeah.
That was the kind of music I was doing before.
Did you dance with it as well?
Oh yes, that's where maybe the dancing started, because you cannot just do that music without dancing, because it's just very vibey music, and it's got a nice beat to it, and you have to dance, So I was dancing, quite a lot, even then.
Since the change from apartheid to struggling toward non-apartheid system in South Africa, what's life been like for you? What's the difference? Do you see a difference in your life and the lifestyle of your friends and relatives?
Well, so far, politically, there hasn't been any really big change, except for the fact that as a musician, I now have the right to sing and talk about anything that I want to sing and talk about without any fear of being arrested or chased around with police, and stuff like that. I can sing and talk about whatever I want to sing and talk about with no fear.
So have you put on performances there in South Africa?
Yeah.
In Johannesburg or Soweto?
Yeah, around Johannesburg, and I've done some shows in Natal, which is the Zululand side of it.
So
Yeah.
Are you Zulu?
No.
What is
I am just human.
Okay, I like that. What is happening to that Sun City that was so popular for a while that there was?
Well, it
boycott
is still very popular, but now the thing is that Mangope is no more there. The president, Mangope, is no more there. So that has been, I think, taken back into South Africa, which is, it was South Africa before. But apparently people were not happy there about Mangope, and people, when the whole of South Africa was voting, the people in Maputo Tswana wanted to vote as well, but Mangope wouldn't let them. And so maybe that's when the people decided they don't want him anymore. But it's still popular.
The name Lucky Dube, someone mentioned to me that it has dub in it. I said, hey, I didn't think about that, because they said, well, how do you pronounce it? So how did you get the name Lucky Dube?
Well, Lucky is my name, like James, and Dube is my last name, as in Hanson. I got the name Lucky because my mother didn't have children for a long time, and finally she got a boy, and when he was about 3 months, he got very sick and he died. And so when I was born, there was that little break again, long break. And when my mother finally got me, I also got sick, very sick, and they thought I'm gonna die too. And so I didn't have a name until I was maybe about, what, 6 months old. They would just call me the boy or the child. And then I didn't die, and so they said, well, he's very lucky. He's a very lucky boy, and they called me Lucky. And that's how I got the name Lucky. But Dube is my last name.
Who is Lucky Dube?
Who is Lucky Dube? Lucky Dube is a singer from South Africa, yes, trying to make sense out of life, trying to send a message across to people everywhere in the world, and calling for unity amongst people, not just black people, but white people, green people, whatever people there are. That's who Lucky Dube is trying to bring together.
What is the hope of your music?
The hope of the music is, of course, that of getting people together. People have been separated for a long time. And I do music for 3 reasons. I do music to entertain, to educate, and to unite people. That is me and my music.
Speak on your influence of Peter Tosh. What influence Tosh has had on you and your music?
Well, Peter Tosh was basically the reason really behind my getting into reggae, because when I first heard Peter Tosh, I really liked his music and I liked his message. Basically everything about Peter Tosh really was great. He is still, even today, the foundation of what I'm doing.
Well, when did you become a Rasta and why?
When I was doing Standard 8 at school, I was doing some work in the library, in the school's library, and that's when I started, I found an encyclopedia that was talking about reggae music and about Rastafarianism, and I just liked the way of life. What I read about was Rastafarianism being a way of life, not a religion. And that's what I really liked, just the way of life, you know. Even though today being a Rasta means smoking ganja, and meaning that to have dreadlocks and play reggae music, to some people that's what being a Rasta means, you know.
What does it mean to you?
To me, it's about consciousness, be it socially or politically, you know. It's basically consciousness.
Speak on your social, the social things you speak about in your music, the racial stereotypes, the assumptions that people make. How do you bring that out into in your music?
Well, I write my music about people. I write my music about myself. I write music about real things that are happening, you know, to real people. There's no song that I have written that is just an imaginary thing, you know. So all the things that I write about are things that people relate to, are things that have happened to people one time or another.
You mentioned on a little article that I read that by the time you come off your tour, you had all the music ready for Trinity.
Yeah.
What inspires you during that tour? I mean, how does you get it together? I mean, you're so busy doing this. How do you have time to sit and put music together, to arrange it and all that stuff?
Well, I think that's about the best time of writing my music, because I meet a lot of different people, different cultures and stuff, and that's where the inspiration comes from, because I write my songs about people, and so meeting different people kind of inspires, you know, me quite a lot. Yeah. And like now Trinity is out, but I have already started writing material for the next album.
What is the concept of Trinity?
Trinity talks about education. I found that in South Africa, with the new government, To me, it meant time for education. Black people were going to educate white people, and white people were going to educate black people, because we did not really know much about each other in the past, except the fact that black people thought of white people as oppressors, and white people thought of black people as criminals. And so with Trinity, like I said, it's the three reasons that I do music: to educate, to entertain, and to unite. But Trinity comes in with the education part now, where we're going to educate each other about the different cultures that we have, about all the different things that we have about each other, not just criminals and oppressors. Trinity is about education.
So will your next album take up one of the other concepts, or will it continue in the education, the one you're working on while you're on the road now?
I wouldn't really know, but at the moment I'm just putting material together, and yeah, whatever ideas that are coming in and whatever I see happening, you know, but I wouldn't know what the album will be about until it's done. You know, yeah, because that's how it has always worked over the years.
I want to compliment you on Trinity too. I find it's I have a couple of your other albums. I mean, but this one I find is one that every song I like. You know, not that I don't like the other songs, but every song I play.
Okay.
I mean, I play the album. You know, I'm the kind of person, like, when I get an album, if I like it, I play it over and again.
Okay.
And this Trinity makes me do that. And that's quite a. I mean, I get a lot of music.
Yeah.
So it's a compliment to you to say
thank
that
you
it's
very
something
much.
that I definitely continue to play over and over again.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Where is the road taking you this tour?
Well, we now have just about a week in America. We've been here for a month and a half,
Okay.
and we just have about a week now left before we go back home. But we're only going back for 2 weeks. We're going to do some shows in Botswana, and after the 2 weeks we come back here again to do some shows in South America for a month.
Great.
Yeah.
You know, you are one of the few reggae artists now that are really still doing roots reggae. Burning Spear, and I probably can name a few others, but to me, I'm still locked into that era of music when it was really roots and, you know, as opposed to dancehall, so to speak. When you're on the road, what's the reaction to? I mean, are other people saying this to you as well?
Yes, yes.
That they're glad to see this continuous.
Yeah, that, you know, I'm still playing roots music, but that's the way maybe I want to keep it, and that's the way maybe this Peter Toshism is working, you know, inside me, because I cannot think of any other way of expressing myself, you know, except the roots style. I still like the real stuff, the Bob Marley, Peter Tosh style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's going to go on. I was a friend of Peter's, so I mean, I'm always trying to bring more people to be aware of who this person was, because he doesn't get the accolades that I think he should in the world today.